Engine 1 from Car 1. Car 1's on scene at Subin Command. Give me a C.A.N report.
Hey everybody, Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the C.A.N report. Mazel tov, y'all. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate you all doing what you're doing and liking and subscribing. Please keep that up. It means a lot to have you guys supporting me. And when you guys click subscribe, it lets me know that you are listening and enjoying it, and I'll keep going. I have a great show this evening. I have Rhode Island's finest with me this evening. I have Chris Gray, and I have Joe Bourquin from Rhode Island. They are amazing dudes. I met them at the Fools Northeastern Fire Summit in Wells, Maine in March, and we became quick friends. And we did a quick podcast with Chris Gray, and that we touched on a couple of topics, and I wanted to expand more on that. And I also wanted to talk to Joe as well. Those two are some awesome guys, and they have some great information. And I thought we could expand more on that so all of you can get something out of it. Joe and Chris, thank you so much for being on the C.A.N report.
Thanks for having me back, Mike.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. It means a lot to me. So, Chris, we'll start with you. Tell us who you are.
You got me to talk about myself again? I already did this once.
I know, and you killed it. But in case nobody actually listens to anything, for the people who are actually tuning in the first time, let's make sure they know who they're talking to.
All right. So my name is Chris Gray. I'm a battalion chief of the City of Center Falls Fire Department. I've been in the fire service. This is going to be my 32nd year.
Nice.
Work in a small city. It's 1 square mile by 1 square mile of absolute chaos. I can't even tell you how many people live there anymore because the census is off the chart. Super busy there. I started off as a volunteer in my community, started working there as a volunteer, and then a paid callman, and then worked my way up to full time. Loved it there, but it just wasn't busy enough. So I moved on to the city of Central Falls, where I've had my hands full for the past 22 years. I own a company called Truck Company Manifesto. We do fire training, a lot of outside the box stuff. The recent stuff, as you know, is we did lithium-ion battery and EV, electric vehicle car training. We do a lot of truck company stuff, as you know, the name of the company. Matter of fact, we just finished up in the beautiful city of Newport. Was so psyched to be able to catch some really nice weather down there towards the water. It wasn't tourist season yet, but finished up down there doing a respectful entry through the lock and SAWS program for them with some other guys from my company, and absolutely killed it. Loved it. They loved it. We loved it. And today when I went to the academy, one of my other instructors was like, man, I wish I was still down there. I'm like, yeah, you and I both, man.
That's awesome. Man, all right. You are a busy, busy man.
Yeah.
Chris, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself.
He's the busiest guy I know, aside from me. So very similar. I think that's why he and I get along so good. I started out as a volunteer myself in one of the smaller departments, Warren. It's the smallest town in Rhode Island, so it's the smallest town in the smallest state, and that's kind of like their little mantra. But Chris works in Central Falls, and sometimes I'm probably going to get yelled at for this. We call Warren Central Falls by the Sea with volunteers because it's similar clientele in the streets a little, right? So I was actually kind of fortunate to fall into that place. Early 90s, late mid 90s, they were burning, and a lot of 3-deckers in there. So for a volunteer in a small town, they were burning. So I got lucky that I was exposed to that, and a lot of great people there too, like to get me like started. I'm chasing my dad into the job. My dad was the union president in the town we lived in and we grew up in, right over the Mass border. So I couldn't really be a volunteer there because they were kind of phasing that out. So that wasn't there for me. Even though when he started out, he was the president of the volunteers there.
Gotcha.
But it was just sign of the times in that town. It came early that the volunteer stuff died off, and then you also have a
a side company as well, correct?
I do. I have a company called OSA.
There you go.
These companies appear
Why
a
are you
lot.
crushing my representation?
These companies appear a lot together in the same location. But OSA one step ahead, and we're kind of like, we do all the weird stuff. We do all the not so common types of training, and we do a lot of like interoperability training, motion police and fire and EMS services together that usually aren't together. We kind of help facilitate that, especially if the uh, relationship isn't that well formed yet in the municipality. Sometimes we got to go in and wear the bridge.
Nice.
But we're good at that. We're good at bringing people together and making people say, "Hey, we're not so different. We're on mission. We just got to do it a little better together."
Joe, you're still on the job, correct?
I'm on the job. I'm a career firefighter in the town of Tiverton. I'm actually a 46-year-old probie. So I've been on 3 different career departments. I started out my career department. My first career job was in Coventry, Rhode Island, center of the state, which that is actually the biggest town in the state of Rhode Island. So, it's like I went to the biggest ball of twine one time. It was weird. It was in Kansas.
So you're currently on
But
probation?
yeah, I'm a probie. I'm
Yeah, like prison probation.
yeah. So I did I did about 17 years in Coventry. They had like fire districts, so it was like 2 different jobs, and then they made a big job out of it, and then they had some financial stuff. I was the union president there. I was a lieutenant when I left the job there. I did a lot of the safety stuff, did some EMA stuff. Um, I was attached to the SWAT team for a little while as a medic guy, and that kind of put me down the road of mixed operations and integrated response, and that got me rolling heavy into the rescue task force.
Gotcha.
As you know, in New England, there's nothing new about New England. We're still doing, we got Paul Revere coming in like, "Hey, we should do a rescue task force." And I was like, "Who's that guy on the horse?"
He
But
talks just like that.
right, so he's like, "Hey, what's up, everybody? Let's get a lager."
Gotcha.
So, uh, we do. I was kind of bringing that stuff to light, and people are like, "Yeah, that's Joe. He's nuts. Just put him in the corner. He's always trying to do crazy stuff and weird fireman stuff and stuff no one's ever heard of, and he's crazy." And that's probably true, but usually after I'm right, so it works out.
Gotcha.
And then they're happy that they did it. Coventry it was a really big town, 54 square miles. It's about documented. It was about 38,000 people. It's got a populated end of town and then a rural end of town and then everything in between. But a lot of SWAT incidents, a lot of raids, a lot of drugs. It was just the work was there and the need was there. And talking with the PD guys, like, listen, you don't want to be stuck while we're taking a ETOH to the hospital, or somebody's having chest pains for the 3rd time that week, and that's when something bad happens to you, kicking that door in, and we're not there.
Gotcha.
So if you put me in the van down the street, and you need me, I'm right there, and I'm trained for this. And it grew into a whole program, and it was like it was kind of like my niche.
Cool.
And I build on it as best I can. And then Chris and I cross paths with our company starting up at the same time, and he knows I'm weird anyway. So he's like, "Yeah, that's Joe. He's crazy. Put him in the corner." But we'll bring him out once in a while for school. And
so you guys both developed your own separate companies around the same time.
yeah,
Chris, so kind of the same thing. You found a need, or you saw a need within your community as well, and you wanted to develop something and help, and that's why you came up with the truck company Manifesto.
So truck company Manifesto kind of started out. It started just as COVID was kicking in. They got crushed, and I had to go and restart after COVID. But the issue came in is that we were teaching at the academy, and the things that we were teaching, we felt like there needed to be more.
Mhm.
that we're like missing this large portion, and weren't able to deliver that at the academy. So we wanted to do like after. Um, for example, like one of the street smart forcible entry, like being wedged over in a corner with an air pack with a wall on one side of you, you can't swing an axe. But
Mhm.
this is what the students are being taught, and we didn't want them to go out there and get hemmed up, thinking like, "Oh my God, this is the only way we can do this." So we started to expound on a lot of stuff based off of what we had seen in the field and the things that we had encountered and how we overcame them. And then when we started to do that, again, stuff like Street Smart Forcible Entry and Street Smart Ladders, and then it just blew up to, we started tripping on different things. For example, the class that we're doing coming up with Joe, Field Force Extrication and Protester Removal, like that literally fell in my lap. And then not even a couple of months later, fell in Joe's lap. And then the next thing we knew, we're like, we need to go talk about this because we don't want to watch guys and gals get hemmed up trying to take these people out. Um, so we're like, we probably need to put a program together for this. Joe started with his active shooter and the RTF. Um, I was doing a lot of stuff with Central Falls with shootings. We've gotten a lot of shootings in my career and being in those situations. So we kind of worked together on that. And that's how like him and I got together with both companies doing RTF. And then we started with the protester removal, and then he starts doing a lot of EMS stuff. I started doing a lot more fire stuff. Wherever the need was, whatever came up was the need. That if I was doing it, like if we were seeing it or experiencing it, then we started to put programs together to be able to address that. And that was it,
Excellent.
and it just blew up.
That's great. And so you guys started doing your own company and doing the trainings. I met you, Chris, at the New England Foals conference in Auburn, Mass. How did you how'd you guys meet up with Rusty and New England Fools and start doing those trainings?
So for me, I got asked. There was a gentleman who was on Providence Fire, Chris Cahoon, asked me several years ago to go teach a class with him. He was involved with the Fools. I wasn't able to make it. It was a short notice. And then Dana Potter from the Fools asked me after that, and I did have some time. He asked me in advance, and I ended up going up there with him to go start teaching with him with the Fools. That's how I met Rusty. And then again, it just took off. Absolutely love what Rusty does. Rusty is the man. The stuff
Rusty's
that
the
he
best.
does, the places he goes, and the people that we deliver our message to with the Fools, I look at it this way, and you're right up that same place, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
The people who love the job tend to gravitate to each other.
Yeah.
So that's how we ended up with the Fools and meeting so many awesome people like yourself. Um, that was it. That it took off from there, and I haven't stopped. My phone doesn't stop ringing. Rusty calling, texting the group text of, "Hey, we're burning this building. You want to come and do this?" You damn right I do.
Right, because there's training coming up in Vermont, correct? You guys
We've
gonna be up
got
for that?
Yeah, we got one in Vermont, and then
Green Mountain
we're
Days.
doing another one in the Lakes region, like in Laconia. We're doing a RIP program up there.
Yep.
Yeah,
there's
you're
just-
you guys are coming up for the fire conference that's going to be at the Lakes Region Community College in September,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I know AB Turin's going to be up there for it. You guys are going to be up there for it. I'm really pumped. I get to present as well, and
Yeah, congrats,
it's gonna
man.
be
That's
thanks.
awesome.
AB's our biggest fan. I don't know.
AB's your biggest.
We got to give him a shout out because
Yeah.
he's a great guy too.
He's a good guy. I like him too because we're also the same height, so that helps a lot.
Well, that's big. I love AB because we listen to the same music. We like punk rock, so that's like our big thing.
Yeah, actually, I'm very impressed by the fact that so not many people like the band Clutch, and the fact that he does a lot of his reels and promos that has the band Clutch on it. That's one of my all-time favorite bands. So shout out to Clutch, right? Like I love it. I've seen them in concert many, many times. So I like what they got, and the fact that he's listening to them is super cool. And the fact that you guys listen to Clutch is awesome as well.
Well, I put that reel up for you when I was giving you the shout out, and I was using No Effects from Massachusetts, another punk band.
Yeah. I loved that clip.
Do.
That was a really good one too. Like the fact that NoFX is on there, and they got the Jewish song on there. That it hit home. I loved it, dude.
Yeah, representing, man.
Absolutely. So you guys are teaching with Fools. You guys got your own companies. So what I really liked, again, we talked about it earlier, Chris, when we did our podcast, and we'll talk about it again for those who missed it. I met you in Auburn, Mass at the New England Fools conference that they had down there. I loved the way you presented your forcible entry. You talked, like you just talked about, with doing out of the box exercises of obscured vision, tight corners. You're not going to be able to swing an axe. You're going to have to do a little more tight quarters and really watch your movements. And I learned a lot from that evolution, because every time we do forcible entry, it's just the same old thing. You're not doing it obscured, and you're not doing it in tight quarters. And I really enjoyed that evolution. I got a lot out of it, but I got a lot of it because you were very patient and calm and very thorough in your explanation. Nobody felt nervous
Great
with
presenter.
doing that, right?
He's good at what he does.
Yeah. So the fact that you guys are very deliberate with your presenting that material, it helps those students to know that it's okay to make a mistake, and they're not going to feel like they're graded or feel like that they're beneath you because they can't get it. That's why we're there to learn. And I really enjoyed it. I didn't get, unfortunately, Joe, you weren't there for that one.
I was not there.
No, you were not there. So, but I met Joe and I met Chris at the Northeastern Fire Summit in Wells, Maine. And Joe, I really love the fact you always smiling. You were very happy to be there. You're very into everything.
I love being up there, and I love, I'm really busy. I'm a busy person. I'm like living at the fire academy. I'm one of the coordinators, so that's why I'm there a lot. I'm running programs and stuff, but I do my 224s, and then I'm basically living there. I have a son who's 12. He's going to be 13. I got the family thing going on, the business, always scheming and scamming and planning with Chris on the phone or something. And when I get to go do stuff or go to a training or get out and be with the brothers and the sisters and just be with my people, I'm so happy. I can relax for a minute, have a drink, take a breath, you know what I mean? And just not have to worry about anything. That's my kind of vacation, just being around everybody and there's a little bit of chaos. And,
Now,
I like that.
You talk about the academy that you're coordinator. Tell us a little bit what you're doing there, and what do you what is it you hope that the students get out of what you're trying to get going. I know you talk a lot about the academy, you're very passionate about it. So what is it you're trying to instill on them, and what are you trying to make sure that the academy as a whole is accomplishing?
We are an accredited institution, and we use the IFSTA platform and all that stuff, and it's great, and it has its place. But we're trying to make sure that we don't lose the firefighter isms, and we don't lose the core skills of the job. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's marks that got to be hit on the papers and everything, and we're making sure that's happening. But I did some stuff today where I just had to, plug in some time management, and I had the right people there on the right day, and I was able to get, so right now the segment we're in is the driver operator, and we're in the aerial portion. We just completed the pumper operator portion. I gotta give a shout out to class 35 because they are a very high performing group. I don't want their heads to get big because I will smack you down. But anyway, keep in line. But great group of guys. It's multiple towns, 26 recruits in the program. But I had the right instructors there today to kind of make it work, where I was able to accomplish skill building and get forcible entry doors out and build on that. So I don't like downtime. I don't like recruits or anybody that's learning, any kind of students, standing and waiting their turn to do the thing and check the box, and there's time being wasted where they could be perfecting a skill, working on a skill, ladder up, ladder down, up and over, get through that window. Let's practice that. You're not going to do that much. Let's practice that. You know what I mean? Let's practice all these things that we talked about repetition is the key, and we're limited on time, right? It's a 12-week program. It's going to a 13-week program. We're going to do some training in July. We're going from IFS to version 7 to IFS to version 8, and all the new standard, the changes and everything. So
How
there's a
does it
little bit
work in
more
Rhode Island?
curriculum.
How does it work for, do you, like for New Hampshire to be hired, you have to have all your certifications first, and then you apply. For Rhode Island, do you take like in Boston or Massachusetts, you take
Civil
the civil
service.
service exam?
So we have a similar process. So we have, because we're so small and we're still getting, we're getting there, right? We're trying to get with the times. We're trying to catch up to the way other places are doing things. We have the Rhode Island Association of Fire Chiefs runs the written examination, and they run the physical agility test. So it's not quite a CPAT. It's a general PPA, but it's very similar to the CPAP, except for like there's no stair machine. You're on real stairs going up and down, carrying equipment and doing all the things. You got to do it in 8 minutes, and passing score and all that. So we're doing all that, and we've been doing that for, I don't know, 25 years. I think we've been doing that, but the unified written exam is new. I think we're on our third rotation of one written exam for the whole state. Because think about it, we're in a recruiting crisis, and we're feeing, we're putting fees on people to come to this job.
Yeah.
And we're out there struggling to get recruitment and retention, and we're charging them upwards of $500 to $700 for written exams and agility tests and doctor's appointments and signatures and application fees. And it's like, what are we doing?
Now for the classes that come in, is it a combination? Are they coming from volunteer departments? Are they some people already in a department?
Some people are coming through with volunteer experience. So you have to be in the Rhode Island Fire Academy. You have to be sponsored by a municipality or a fire district, right? So someone has to like take responsibility for you, right? Insurance wise and liability wise, da 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 da. So it has to be, a certified real fire department. It's not just like I couldn't send someone there from my company, or like a private ambulance company couldn't send someone, but like there are third service EMS departments in Rhode Island where there's separate fire EMS. They're recognized too as a service. So if they had people that wanted, a lot of them used to run fire 1 and 2, even though their job with the city or the town was EMS in a box, right? And then fire was in this box and police is in that box. Even though they were the third service, they still had privilege to be involved in all those programs and take the officer program for their lieutenants and captains and stuff. So we would still provide all that.
So when you're coordinating, are you, like you just talked about, there's instructor courses and fire officer courses. Are you mainly, for you're coordinating classes? Is it just you're doing the actual hands-on portion? There's the fire level 1 stuff. You're not doing the classroom of instructor. Are you coordinating that core group of getting them trained and certified in fire level 1 and fire level 2?
So my assignment right now is I'm a coordinator for the recruit school.
Okay.
For career fire recruits, people who are going to career fire departments.
And what do they get for that when they finish the career fire side? What is it when they walk out of that door? What did they get?
So they come out with firefighter 1, firefighter 2, operator for pumper and aerial, and hazmat operations.
Okay. Does Rhode Island require a CDL?
No. So I'll just say no. It's too hard to explain. No.
They also come on with an introduction to tech rescue as well.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
They do space, Auto X.
Yep. And the way, and we plug that in like the middle. So they plug it into week 6.
Mm-hmm.
And while they're doing that, because it's a awareness and like a taste of everything tech rescue, and not long enough to get certified in anything 2006, they don't have any certification exams that week. So what they do is they use that whole week to study for Fire 1 and 2 for everything in the past 6 weeks. So that gives them that whole week to study before the certification exam.
Nice. Now,
So
do you have you do flashover as well? You do a flashover simulator? Or...
We do. Chris is actually the coordinator for us, our
nice.
Flashover simulator.
Tell me about that, Chris.
So we just got Aaron Heller from On Scene. He works for a company Simtac. Just delivered that, I don't know, less 6 or 8 months ago to us. And did a little training with us, and we got it up and running, and we're certifying instructors currently right now.
That's great.
And I think Flashover Sims is pretty cool. I like it because, so the way I have it set up over there is, if you go to a Flashover simulator, typically you go in there and it's like a roller coaster ride. You go in there, you sit there, and it's like, ooh, ah, oh, and then you leave. And I'm like, why do we spend all this money on this? Why aren't we putting in fire dynamics? So I added fire dynamics to it, so we'll get it going. And then I'll speak with the students or other firefighters that come in from the jobs. It just doesn't have to be recruits.
Somebody wrote it into the 13-week program.
I'll bring them in there, and then I'll say, okay, fire's been burning for 15 minutes, right? It's room and contents, semi-12 bedroom. Fire's been burning 15 minutes. Now you arrive on scene. Okay, you start to stretch the hose onto the door. You force the door. Now you open the door, and then I'll have them open the door. Now you're introducing oxygen. Look at the neutral planing. Wait a couple of minutes. Now you feel a temperature change. Now you're going to see the fingers roll across the ceiling, and then I close the door again. And then we'll start to talk about, now you got the hose line in. We've closed the door behind you. Okay, it's starting to heat up even more. So now we're getting we're getting pre-flashover just before that flashover condition. You hit it with water. Now we're going to open up you would open up the roof and let that vent out. Okay, we didn't get to the seat of the fire yet. And the truck company decides, screw it, we're opening the roof. We didn't hear from them. And then I have them open the roof vent. And then they watch fire behavior for that. So I put all of that together so they physically can see how this works. We can read it in a book all we want, how flashover works, how fire conditions work, and neutral planing and flow path. We can read it all day long and watch videos, but unless you're in there and we can put time frames and you can physically see that and feel that, kids don't get it.
I like that. So you have it going inside there, because so I'm picturing for our prop that we have at the Fire Academy in New Hampshire. It's the Connex box. It has a level up here, and then you sit down low. And we pack them in. They sit down, like you said, it's kind of like a roller coaster. You literally are sitting like you're in your seats. And then when it starts rolling over your head, everyone does one of those, and then you go back, and then you go back again. And so they're literally waiting at the door. So smoke is rolling, and then you open up that door and you watch. You get to see the actual change, and then you make them get low and get down. Yeah.
So they're all lined up like the amusement park ride, and it's burning, and I have them pick out what's going on, time frame, and then we'll pop the door.
They have
and say, okay,
ticks
doors open. Yeah.
Ticks and seeks.
Yeah.
We also added in that safety line that we have up front. I'll have them open it up so they can feel steam. Okay, this is what it feels like when you actually open up a line in here. Okay, where the steam comes down, water comes on you, or it doesn't come back down on you. And this is
the return. Yeah, I like that. So we do. It sounds a lot like what we do in New Hampshire as well. When we're in the simulator, I do the same thing with the students. Watch them watch the development of it. Watch the smoke, reading the smoke. Look at your thermal imaging camera. What is it doing? What is it telling you? We do a lot of the venting as well, because that property has a really good vent, and we do the same thing. All right, now I'm going to call for vent. Look what is happening, and then Larry watch it ignite again. And it really, I love the flashover simulator, but it's not teaching you how to fight a fire, but it's teaching you how to just the actual movement of smoke and fire and how it ignites and how it rolls and the behavior of it. That's really cool. So you said you just got that prop, correct?
Yep.
So is a replacement, you already had one before and then you just got a new one, or you didn't have one before at the Academy?
We didn't have a flashover simulator. Right, we had a burn trailer.
Class B.
That
Class
got
B propane, and then we wrecked the Class A.
Wow.
Not we. I don't know if I'm pointing at him for real, but
You're doing one of these.
I don't think it was him.
No.
We know who did it.
Yes.
Wow. So that's interesting. So you only had a propane prop. You didn't have an actual combustible material
Yeah.
flashover simulator. Wow. So that is a game changer for your students, though, to actually be able to see real fire behavior, though, to see it actually ignite and roll and build. And that is really, really cool. It's always a highlight of my teaching when I get to sit in the box with them, and obviously we all get nice and hot and sweaty, but it's really cool to see them
See their face
and appreciate. Yeah, they really appreciating the fact that, and not only just to see the fire behavior side of things, but the uncomfortableness of sitting in that environment, right? Your gear is getting, obviously we're not, it's a training scar because we don't want them to think that you're going to be sitting in an actual structure fire, and saturating your gear to a point where it's going to be that uncomfortable. But to let them know, like, hey, yeah, this is going to get uncomfortable. Your gear is going to get hot. Your air is now getting hot that you're breathing. Don't touch each other when you're in the box. When you come out, don't touch each other, because those are valuable lessons. When you come out of a structure fire, you're still going to be hot, and someone slaps you on the back, you're going to be pretty pissed off. So those are really good lessons that we teach them, but also I think at least I like to hit on it, but some people leave it out. But like, hey, this is just to teach you the science behind live fire behavior. You're obviously not going to be sitting in a room that's fully involved when you go in and you stretch a hose line in. This is a quick in and out in the real life world. We're just teaching. We want you to sit here and understand the fire behavior. But I do like the fact they actually, if they've never been in a fire before, they won't understand what it's like to be uncomfortable. And like we always say, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Being uncomfortable, right?
Right. And being in that box that you're going to be uncomfortable, and you have to learn how to be comfortable with it.
We want to try and give them a taste of those signs and symptoms too. Like, hey, if you see these conditions, you need to think about your exit. Like, it's coming. You got to get out of there. And I was fortunate. Chris was fortunate. I don't know if you ever heard of the Barnstable Fire Academy. It's down the Cape. Used to be all we had like around here for a while, because the Rhode Island Fire Academy physical location is kind of new. We were organization and like a filing cabinet and a phone number, and we used to have to get satellite hosted, right? So having a location for us is only the last 10 years.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of us that came up, mid to late 90s, early 90s, Barnstable Fire Academy, we would go down there for their flashover training, and it was 2 days, and they could flash rooms. Like, they had a science down, and you would do that, lock your ankles in at the door, the threshold of the door, and that was your search space. You weren't allowed to go any further, and the mannequin was there, and it was ridiculous, and you'd be trying to pull that thing, and you got those tree stumps in your hands, and you're trying to pull that guy out of the room, and you had literally 33 seconds to do it.
I was fortunate enough to when I started, I had Clarkey as one of my instructors. So I was very, very fortunate to have him. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Rest in peace. And I learned a lot from him, and he loved to sit in that box, and he would sit in that box for hours, students after students after students. And this was before we had the better one. The old school one was up on the third, I think it was like the second or third floor of our A building. And you're at level with it. It was just literally just a fire on the floor, and you're sitting there, and it is hot, and the fire and everything is just right in your face. Man, he would just sit there and talk, and he'd come out and his neck is just bright red. And I just was always impressed how this dude could just sit in there. And again, he was just taking groups after groups, and he still had all his energy coming out that door and still doing cartwheels, but just so passionate about telling you the behavior of the fire, and telling you how to respect the fire as well, and what's going on in that environment. And it was impressive to see that. But yeah, our old box was literally just a box, and you had to sit at level with that fire just coming right at you. And it's impressive how far we've come with just those little extra things of having the platform there. of having the fire room up above you, so you can actually see it roll above your head, and you can see more without worrying about having to get burnt, and or having that extreme heat right in your face. You can actually sit lower. So I have appreciation for the fact, like you just said, like the old school stuff. You had just a room, you can only go so far because that heat was right up your face. So it's impressive how far we've come, and the students now have the opportunity that they have to see the science right there and be able to sit there longer and appreciate it is super cool.
So Joe brings up Barnstable. They were animals. I'm going to tell you, they were animals.
I love
Okay. I remember in 1993 doing the first vent, enter, isolate, search in 1993 at Barnstable. So you go up the aerial, come through the window. You had to open the doors, drop to the floor because you were taking a beating, and I couldn't figure out why I was taking such a beating. So I had to go find the door and close it. So I crawl on the floor, go find the door, and it's this giant steel maritime door. And it's like I am literally on my belly watching my Borks melt, and I can't figure out why. So I reach out with the hook and I grab the door, and I'm pulling on the door with my hook with everything that I have to get it closed. And I finally get it closed, and then I'm able to go and search. Well, when I come back out, I realized that the fire they had, this was on the second floor, the fire they had was on the first floor, and they had a positive pressure fan that they were blowing all that heat up the staircase, through the door, and down the hallway at you. So it was literally cooking you in that hallway.
What was the purpose? Just to keep feeding the fire? They just wanted to make it as hot as possible for you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
They used to, you get the old AOL emails, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you fill out the application, mail it to them, real mail, snail mail with a stamp, right? And you'd send them all that, and then they'd send you back like an email, and it would say, yeah, you're accepted. Da 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 da. We got the payment, right? And then it would say, if you're on the way up here and you own a pickup truck and you see a couch or a chair or a table or anything on the side of the road, get it. Bring
Wow.
it.
Wow.
You would have that thing like couches flying out the window. It was great. It was a good time.
That was the first place I met Tom Kenny.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Rest in peace, Tom, too. Another amazing mentor, gentleman that just did so much for the fire service.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn from him?
Saw work. That man was a master with a saw. Yep, master with a saw. Unbelievable. Great with Mass Task Force 1. He was at 9/11. Collapse of the tower with Mass Task Force 1. His picture, don't quote me, I do believe it's him. Greg Crawford from Providence Fire is on the cover of Time magazine from 9/11.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Just amazing. My God, the wealth of knowledge that came out of him. You can't replace it. Same thing with Old Clark. Old Clark is the same way. The wealth of knowledge coming out of him, you can't replace. When you lose guys like that, you lose volumes in that library of the fire service.
Absolutely. And it's funny. It's great that you hit on that too. It's not even the wealth of knowledge, but it's that energy they brought to it as well. It's you can have people that are really, really smart and really, really knowledgeable and great experience, but it's the delivery of it too. And if those most knowledgeable people and experienced people, if they have a crappy attitude, or or just even just dry, then the students are going to sit there, and it's just, they're not going to obtain it and not going to absorb it. And that's, I think, why we remember those great ones, is because they made it fun. And you don't forget the ones that made you feel all included, that made you like enjoy that learning environment, and there's those little nuances, right? Like, you said, like, Tom was a whiz with the saw. Like, you remember that saw work that he did, and all the other amazing things he was passionate about, and he could speak so lively about it. And same thing with Clarky. Like, he wasn't just teaching you hoses. I mean, he was teaching also about life and energy. And he was always smiling. And when people talk about those guys, it's because they don't just talk about what they learned, but they've always talking about how much they loved people and how much they were always smiling and treating people with respect. And for me, that's what made me to want to be a teacher and wanted me to be an instructor, but not just deliver dry material, but to also teach them like, hey, I respect you, I love you as a person, and we're going to have fun together. And I want you to remember the fun that you had, not just the curriculum based material that you need to check the box so you can get your certificate, but years later down the road, we still talk about those people because they just, I might forget what they taught me about the science behind it, but I'll remember that person who was doing cartwheels and push-ups and kissing me on the forehead.
Kissing you on the forehead. That was
Right.
Clarky.
Yeah. Those were the highlights. And whether or not I remember exactly everything he said, I do remember him saying about how much he loved the job and to treat people with respect. And that still pays a lot of dividends for us in the fire service. Again, you could teach anyone to throw a ladder, but if you can't teach someone to be a good person, you can try, but you need good people to be able to continue to deliver that message. And those guys did that.
So that day that I met you in Auburn was the day Clarky died.
Yes, it was.
And that was a very difficult weekend to try to get through. But knew that Clarky was looking down, wanting everybody to push through and deliver the message and not, be sullen about it. You know what I mean?
I didn't think we were going to actually continue with the class. Once everyone found out, it was very somber on the drill yard. Excuse me. And I think everybody was all wondering the same thing. Are we going to continue on? And I think it was Rusty who even said it, like, no, we're going to continue on with this program because that's what Clarky wants.
Yeah.
And we did it, and we did it in his name and did it in his memory. And it was a great weekend.
It was. And we've got a lot of beautiful pictures that day of, everybody together. And as you were saying, enjoying that time, laughing, joking. We got some really good memories and some pictures of that day to remember.
Yeah.
And for those that had never met Clark, we have those pictures to be able to show them, and the stories as you're talking about now to be able to remember him and keep his memory alive. Like, that was a great day. Even though it was a sad one, it was a great day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point to make. And I think in that drill yard, in that moment, as everybody was getting in on their evolutions, I don't think anybody was really, everybody was obviously sad, but it didn't reflect. Like people, you got the reps done, people were into it. They were really excited to get some good quality training. And then once the day was done, everybody took a time to remember Clarky, but then get back to work and have a great time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, we'll talk more about training and then the Fools events. So the Wells, Maine, the Northeastern Fire Summit. Chris, I can't remember. Did you teach a class when you were there?
Yeah, I did. I did the lithium-ion battery class.
Now,
I thought it was kind of boring.
It was kind of boring. Now, we talked about that in the previous podcast we did.
Yeah.
For people who kind of missed it, how did you get into the lithium-ion battery world?
That started probably 5 or 6 years ago when they first started to show up. I had a fire in a triple decker, and I had multiple spots at this fire. Looked like it was arson. Little digging, some questioning of the people who lived there. Found out they were charging their vape pen batteries, and they were lithium-ion battery, and they literally popped off like Chinese ladyfinger fireworks. Shot underneath the bed, shot into a closet, set the closet on fire, set the bed on fire. And that's, I didn't know a lot about them. That was kind of new. And the only thing I knew kind of about that at that point was the whole e-hoverboard.
Mm-hmm.
That they were in there and we were having fires with those. But, I thought it was like a fad. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to dig deep into it, find out more about it. And then more fires and more fires. And then fires through the state, because I'm also a fire arson investigator. So I was involved with that. I'm one of the instructors for the IAAI, International Association of Arson Investigators. So we started to do classes with them, more testing. Then, we went from having hybrid vehicles, which we had no issues with, to having full-on EVs, and we're having fires with the lithium-ion batteries. So there was another gentleman that was working with me at the time. His name is Chris Heber. He's a captain with Woonsocket Fire Department. Him and I both dove headfirst into it. We're like, lunatics when it comes to stuff like that. And the next thing you know, we're getting emails back in Japanese and Chinese um, from car companies. Um, but yeah, we went all the way with it and started doing testing for batteries on our own. Um, Worked with NOAA. With They were trying to find something to store the batteries that they were using in, and they had bought some of those pouches off of Amazon. I did some testing with those and torched all of that. That was a lot of fun, and it just kept going, and it hasn't stopped, and it still won't stop. Matter of fact, Joe, what was it? 2 weeks ago now, I was up on Moon Island in
Yeah,
Boston,
up in Boston.
doing we burned an EV up there, testing out some new
Yeah.
suppression foam.
You had Shane Bentley up there as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think of the company AEST that
yep,
he works for. Yeah.
yep. It was good. It was interesting. I spoke to guys from Boston Fire about that after, and Providence Fire about that after, and it's been a big discussion since, of where we kind of stand, where the industry stands with it, with piercing that battery box. Yeah, no, it's been nonstop with these battery testing, and every time I teach the lithium ion battery class, I blow off batteries, so I let them see how that works, like how that
Yeah.
happens, and they're all shocked. They're all running home to go and take their,
Unplug
DeWalt
everything.
Milwaukee, batteries and unplug them and put them in places because they think they're going to blow up.
I actually do the same thing at home. I tell my wife, like, if she's using a drill or something and she leaves it plugged in for like over a day, I'm like, unplug that from the wall, please, because I don't want my garage to catch on fire.
Yeah. I have a whole metal workshop in my garage that I do fabrication in, and I've got hundreds of batteries, and I have to store them all in a metal container away from everything else, just in case they ignite. But yeah, that's how I got started, and that's the road that I went down. And I went to New York when they were doing testing, and then Maryland for one of the conferences, and they were doing testing, and it's just been nonstop.
That's awesome. Yeah,
We're,
there's a
we're
high demand.
finding them everywhere. Like I'm a little more hyper aware of it because of him, and we're one of the communities I recently left the job, affluent community. They, a lot of solar on roofs, and then they got these big battery storage things in their closet, like
Yeah.
3 feet from their bed. And I'm like, oh man, what is this doing in here? What? Oh, that's where they wanted to put it. I'm like,
Yeah. Now, Joe, there's a training coming up that you both are going to be a part of in May.
yes.
Can you tell me a bit about that?
So, our protester response program. So, it's Chris's baby. I do a lot of the legwork on it. He does a lot of the tool and hands-on work on it, and we're bringing an attorney in this time to help because we have a little bit more of a law enforcement audience on this as well for obvious reasons. Um, a lot of the calls that we're fielding from law enforcement and stuff is they'd like more training on how to defeat the devices, but a lot of them are interested in the legal aspect and the do's and don'ts side of the house. Because it's not a lot of training for it out there unless you go to Anniston down to the domestic preparedness, and a lot of places don't have that kind of time, even though that program is funded. It's a funded program, but a lot of people are looking for the convenience of getting it locally, and that's kind of one of our things up here is shop local. There's so many good, talented people around New England. You don't have to go all over creation to
Sure.
find what you're looking for. It's usually right in your backyard. You just got to know how to find it.
What are the dates that you have for that training?
So it's May 24th and 25th. It's a Saturday, Sunday. The first part of it is the lecture. First part of the Saturday is the lecture, 8 to noon. It covers like legal aspects, intelligence gathering, and kind of know who you're dealing with before you start going and poking around with devices. And it's not a simple task. It's not like, hey, we're here, we have a K-12, we're going to cut. We can defeat anything because we're we're firefighters and we can do anything. That's true, but we still should be doing things a certain way and making sure legally we can actually do some of this stuff before
In
we
reference
get
to cutting,
involved.
like from like their rioters or protesters are attached to
Right.
something.
Cutting people out of a device that they manufactured to keep themselves in place at their protest, right? So we want to do that as safely as possible, and we want to do it, in the best legal fashion because we're, you know, we're not out there trying to violate anyone's rights. We're everybody has rights to protest under the Constitution, but sometimes they don't go about it the correct way. They end up on private property, and it gets messy. And
Sure.
they think they can be there, but they really can't. And sometimes PD or public perception is you can't block traffic, you can't do this, you can't do that, and they're putting themselves out there and they're putting themselves and the public at risk. And
And
sometimes the order comes down that hey, they're detained, they're under arrest, whatever.
yeah,
Cut the device, get them out of the way, we'll sort it out.
where is the
So
class?
we're doing it in Rhode Island. Um, I'm not really letting the address out because
Okay.
we don't want anybody to show up and protest us. You know
Really?
what I mean? I want to have to go chain them, unchain. Oh yeah.
But
So
the
they're
information is
pretty.
available online, correct?
It is not the address of where we're doing it.
Gotcha.
So the dates, the times, if someone registers for the program, and then we confirm that they're from PD or FD or EMS or something and they're a legitimate agency, then we'll give them the information of where to show
Gotcha.
up. In Rhode Island, if you're a firefighter, right, it's not that hard to figure out where we're going to be doing this. There's probably like 3 places we would be at, but we're just trying to be a little smart about what we're doing and avoid as much any confrontations as possible because
Gotcha.
they're the there's good protesters, there's bad protesters, there's good and bad of all kinds, and there are some people who are not out there for a cause, they're out there to cause harm to whoever, right? And they'll attach themselves to a group that has a legitimate cause and cause problems.
Yeah.
So we don't really want you have protesters, counter protesters, surveillance, counter surveillance. We don't want they're training to be in the device. We're training to take them out of the device,
Sure.
stuff like that. So we don't really. We decided after our pilot training program and some stuff that came through social media that we're not gonna certain trainings we do. We don't disclose where we're doing it,
Gotcha. That makes sense.
just to avoid trouble
Sure.
or any aggravation or whatever.
Sure.
But it's in Rhode Island. It's pretty easy to find.
Rhode
If you're a
Island's not that big.
firefighter. Yeah, it's not.
Okay, gotcha. That's really great. So, because at the Northeastern Fire Summit, AB gave a presentation of what
Yes.
you guys are going to be teaching in Rhode Island. Do you guys, you and AB, did you guys work together on those topics, or is that something he
We've
developed?
actually that program that he developed was his own experience and incident that happened to him. Chris had a run-in Rhode Island with a group, and then I want to say we were in the middle of developing a training program, and all of a sudden the department I was working for gets a call, and they're having me come to a government contractor facility that is putting guidance systems in things, and I'm at their front gate at 6 a.m. with people chained up to devices and stuff, and I'm kind of looking at things going, wow, this looks oddly familiar. I think I need to get Chris on the phone. And I call him up and I open our PowerPoint that we're working on, and I'm looking through stuff, and I'm like, hey, that's that car. I have a picture of that car. Hey, that's that guy. Hey, that's that car. Oh, wait a minute here. So we use some of our intelligence and our contacts and figured out who we were dealing with, and it was a lot easier to resolve the situation than we didn't have to like really. We had to cut one device, and another device uh, was able to self resolve
Gotcha.
with some just good conversation and being nice to somebody.
Well, that's great. That's definitely
Yeah.
valuable training for sure. Because we're definitely getting more of that. So that's really going to be valuable information. So if people have any questions, if they want to be able to go to that training, it's on, where can they find that information?
They could send me an email, Joe, Joe, Joe at osagroup.net. And that's Chris and I working together, both companies working together to facilitate that training. So we get your questions answered. It's pretty reasonably priced if you look around the country at what stuff like that's going for. We do a little tool school in there because there's people that never put their hands on the whizzer saw. There's people that never used the K12. There's people that never cut metal. They've been in the fire service 10, 15 years, never cut metal. So Chris does a great job addressing all that stuff. And we have a really great setup between his equipment and my equipment. We have a truck, we have trailer. He has a huge complement of tools. And the know-how to run everything and to pass that tool knowledge on. So,
And
and the
with that
biggest thing
training,
is
do
working
you also
safely.
touch on anything with hazmat? I imagine there's got to be some, with
So
some protesters and riders, there's got to be some hazmat stuff involved.
we have a whole list of stuff we cover like that. So you got to think hazmat. You have to think. You have to pull that 1,000-foot view on that kind of situation, because there are legitimate people who have a cause and they're trying to get their message out about their cause.
Mm-hmm.
And it's easy for people who want to do harm to infiltrate things like that, organizations like that, because there's a lot of young people, right? So you got to think bomb squad, you got to think hazmat team, you got to think biological CBRN. You have to think about all that stuff because, you look at that matrix, what are they looking for? They're looking for media attention, they're looking for a crowd, they're looking to hurt a lot of people. So, why go through all the trouble of trying to get into a secure location when right outside the secure location that they're protesting at, they brought 150 people and they could do some harm to the people. So the people that are out there having a cause that showed up with a message could be the victims of these, the bad apples,
Sure. Absolutely. Oh, it's a great training for sure. I hope that people actually take advantage of it and show up and get that valuable knowledge. That's great. Any other training that you guys are going to be bringing after that as well? Is anything else coming up?
We're working on some truck company manifesto. Chris also he builds props, forcible entry props, pretty much anything you could think of. He's a wizard. He can build it. Right? He's gonna kill me because he'll be in his garage for like 3 days trying to build something that somebody comes up with. But
Well, I
he's
did today.
super talented. Um, but breaching props, forcible entry props, RIT props. The sky's the limit. He's great.
Yeah.
But we just did some RIT training for um, High and Lowland Fire Company. It's a small volunteer unit in the town of West Greenwich. They got a grant. I think it was a firehouse subs type deal. But they got RIT packs, and then they're like, "Hey, we got these packs, but we need someone to show us how to use them and train us." And we had a good conversation. Like, okay, well, you got RIT equipment, you got RIT packs, you need Mayday training. You want to have the whole package. You don't want to just, oh, I know this piece and we have this, right?
Yeah.
So we were able to consult with them and tell them, like, listen, you need kind of this, you need to be here.
Sure.
So that's like a 3-phase thing we're doing. And we've done some stuff for them before. They're so small, they don't really have like they didn't have live fire instructors like 4 or 5 years ago when we first started interacting with them. So we brought them some. So it was easy. It wasn't like, and they had, an acquired structure, and they're like, we want to do it right. We don't want anybody getting hurt. So we need help.
Now, the
So,
training you're doing in May, is that the one you're also doing up at Lakes Region?
no, that's different. He's doing what are you doing in Lakes? You're doing
I'm doing RIT.
you're doing RIT. Yeah.
We did RIT, I guess, last year as well, with the Fools. And I guess we're doing RIT again up there.
At the fire conference for Lakes Region Community College?
I think so. I'm not positive. All I know is Rusty said that we've got to do RIT for the Lakes region again, and that was the building that was located at the dump.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like there's a bunch of Conex boxes they hooked together. It's like just outside of Laconia. At the recycling dump facility, whatever.
I think I might know what you're talking about.
I guess it burned down. They just rebuilt it.
Oh, really? Okay. So what are you going to be presenting there? What, you don't have to give everything away, but what are some things you're going to touch on?
So if that's the RIP program we're supposed to be doing, we'll do down firefighter CPR, firefighter removal through a window, conversion, drags and carries, hot swaps, disentanglements. There's a whole list of stuff that we do.
That's great.
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
All right, my earbuds died.
No worries at all. That's great. So I'm glad you guys are going to be coming up and spreading that knowledge up to New Hampshire. That's fantastic. I think it's wonderful to get guys from out of state to come up and spread some outside knowledge. That's always beneficial. So you have Lakes Region, you're going to have Vermont as well in October. And then you guys traveling anywhere else and spreading the good word or doing any other kind of trainings outside of Rhode Island, or right now you guys going to be home based?
I got some stuff going on locally. I'm working on a program right now. We're just waiting for the insurance issues or whatever. They were supposed to be dealing with it today. We're supposed to be doing a C.A.N confidence program, which again, one of my favorites to go do. Some other live fire training, ventilation under live fire training we'll be doing. I've been asked by a couple of fire departments, a couple of SWAT teams to do forcible entry training for them.
Nice.
I got a text message today. One of the local police departments wants a forcible entry program for PD. So I'm trying to work with them currently and for fall to be able to get that done.
We gotta build that door. They want to shoot the door.
Yeah,
nice.
One of the SWAT teams wants a door they can shoot, so I got to go build one of those.
I just go around and I'm like, yes, yes, yes. Yeah. And then I go in and see him and I go, here you go. What's this? A list of stuff that people want. Money.
Oh man.
And I'm like,
Joe's
we gotta
get busy.
We gotta find some people that can help them in the shop.
I just submitted my program to the Providence Safety Survival. So let's see if that gets approved. So you may be seeing the protester removal program at the Safety Survival Conference if it gets approved.
That's fantastic.
Put something together for that. That's a great program, worth a drive, and it's they always try to hook up room rates and stuff too. So
excellent.
That's a great thing to be at. We got to get you down here. Have you get involved with some of our stuff. We're gonna have
that.
Our active shooter stuff. Sometimes we get calls short notice because school's out and the PDs and the FDs want to get into the schools and they don't exactly know what they want to do. So we go last minute that somebody says, "Oh, call these guys," and then we show up and we take care of it.
That's great.
We're
always doing a lot.
We're always kind of ready for that. But I mean, that's not all we do. We do everything fire and rescue and anything under the sun. And if, in Rhode Island, we say, somebody asks for something and we go, I got a guy. I'll call him, right? I'm the guy, usually. Not tooting my horn, but unfortunately, I'm the guy they call. Call that idiot, right? We'll figure it out. So, that's what we do. But I just thought of something cool. I just thought of a cool idea. We should do an instructor exchange program because I know those the trained M's and Chunk, they want to go. 50 states, right? So
Yeah.
they could come here. We could do that. You know,
Yeah,
we'll
you
go
should
down
reach
there,
out to NEMS Fire Company.
right?
And
That was a great episode. I
yeah,
like.
he's very good. I like Dan very much. That's again networking and meeting people who are, like you said, Chris, the like-minded individuals are the ones who always connect the best, right? And the ones who are most passionate. And I got to meet Dan a chunk and his family and his friends in Georgia, and we quickly became friends. And because we all care about the same thing, we care about people, we care about the fire service and quality training. And yeah, that guy is he's dialed in. I like Chunk very
Yeah,
much.
they were great.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, very humble, and that would be cool for him to. I don't think he's ever been to Rhode Island, so I think he'd get a kick out of Rhode
I
Island
think
for
they'd like it.
sure.
They'd
Well,
have some.
I saw you just did the thing with the Old South fools,
Yes, sir.
and they came up here. Obviously, they were at the conference, but um, they wanted me to go down and do a lithium-ion battery class for them. And I'm like, as long as you feed me and put me up, you don't even pay anything.
Yeah. Because they're doing they got a conference that's coming up in October. So if that's the same one, yeah, that's gonna be fun. They again, great guys. I immediately just took to them, and I think everybody just took to those guys because they're just there to learn and meet people and network and just absorb as much as they can. And that was an extreme privilege to be able to meet those three guys.
I've,
They were
I've been watching their YouTube stuff, like the videos they put out for years. They're great.
yeah.
They're pretty funny too. That
Yeah,
makes
yeah, they're funny guys, and they're just so humble, so down to earth. So it's a privilege and an honor to be able to meet with them and talk with them. And that's what it's all about is again, like if I never got to go to the Northeastern Fire Summit, I wouldn't have met you guys and we wouldn't be talking right now. And that's the beauty of it.
And
Yeah.
nobody warned you that we were just a couple of weirdos and we're nuts.
We all got to be a little weird to do this job, right?
Right?
Weird. So yesterday I picked up a building. So I pick up buildings all the time, and
This
then
is
we
good.
just plan trainings around the buildings. So whatever type of building we get, it's like it could be truck company stuff, search stuff, hose line stretches, could be anything. So I picked up a training building yesterday, a funeral home.
Oh.
I'm getting in a coffin.
This is gonna be cool.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Good for you. I appreciate that one, man. That's awesome. So that's great, guys. I love it. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. That everyone could get to know who you guys are and what you're doing. Anybody who's listening or watching, if you need information of what they do or to get some good quality training from either of them, they're online. Instagram, Truck Company Manifesto, OSA. Joe Bourquin, Chris Gray. They are yin and yang. They will they'll help out and they work together very well. So thank you guys so much for spending the evening with me. I love talking to you guys. You guys are a lot of fun.
Love talking to you, Mike.
Yeah, man.
Same here, brother. Thanks for having us on. Well, I
Yeah.
was super excited.
Yeah, hopefully we can meet up again. I'd love to get down to Rhode Island. Funny note is I went skydiving. I think I might have been like 20 something years old. I went skydiving in Newport, and that was a blast.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. That's right down the street. Like somebody might have landed in my bushes earlier. It's the next town over.
It was a blast. It was a beautiful day, and Newport's a gorgeous area. So if anyone's ever curious about Rhode Island, Newport is it's beautiful mansion walk there. You can walk the area there. You can see the ocean and see some beautiful mansions. Or if you want to go do some skydiving like I did, that was a blast. My little sister actually got married in Rhode Island, and that's what we were there for. So yeah, it's gorgeous, and I really appreciate you guys and what you're bringing to the fire service and the fire service community. The trainings that you guys bring to the table is super valuable. Everything that you guys are doing is great. I love, Joe, what you're doing and being that coordinator for the Rhode Island Fire Academy, spreading that good word and helping out the people who want to learn and be better and further the career. So that's going to be great, man. I can't wait to hear more about it and what you guys are doing down there. Again, I hope I get to visit the academy and see what you guys got going on for sure.
Doors always open, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'd love that. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the C.A.N Report. And I like to always end it too is mental health is super important. If anybody's struggling with mental health, I always like to promote Next Rung. Next Rung is near and dear to me. Blake Stennett and crew, they do a great job. Chris Gray and I talked about that in our last podcast about mental health, and about it's okay to not be okay. It's you need to talk things out, and if you're feeling down, you can reach out to us. The fire service is great. We are here for each other. I know it's sometimes difficult. People don't think that we are, but I wouldn't say it if I wasn't. So if you need to talk to me, you can reach out to me. If you want someone to talk to Next Rung as well. They're on social media, Instagram, Facebook. They're all over the place. Just reach out to them. They've got a great team that is specifically there to help us. So please, I can't say it enough. Make sure that you are reaching out to somebody to talk to. We're losing too many brothers and sisters to mental health problems. So don't make a permanent solution out of a temporary problem. We're all here for each other. And Chris Gray, Joe Bourquin know what I'm talking about. So if you need help in the Rhode Island area and you see these guys, make sure you reach out to them. They will help you out. Yeah.
We got those contacts too.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. I love it.
Best thing I ever did was reach out and
Same thing here.
I go every couple of weeks. I talk to my doctor. She's great.
Good.
She's fire service focused, right? We're bringing her into the academy, and we're putting her in some gear, and because she wants to know more about what the recruits do and what firefighters do. So she's like, can you put me in there so I have a better understanding? She's great. Phenomenal.
That's great.
Yep.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. Chris Gray, Joe Bourquin, thank you so much for being on the C.A.N. Report. You all stay safe. Love you guys. Mazel tov.